Hi everybody, it's Heidi at Hen Chicks Studio in Conrad, Iowa. And it might be Friday, 5 o'clock somewhere, but we're still thinking about things around here. So we decided to pop on and talk about something that quilters use all the time, but there's so much information about them that we could probably do an entire lesson. And that is pins. Pins are so important, and I'm not talking about the kind of pen that you write with, which we do have some really good Hen and Chick Studio pens here that are free, by the way, but instead about pins that we poke ourselves with that can, give us a sharp spot. And we're also going to talk about pins or clips that don't necessarily poke us. We'll come back to that in a minute. But Allison, I want you to come over here a little bit. And all pins are not created equal. As I lay down here on this board a variety of pins, and this is not a brand new one, and I notice now it's got a little bent to it. Not all pins are created equal. And in fact, come in a little tight. You can come in even tighter there. There you go. This is what would be called a glass head patchwork fine pin. So I'm going to show you that there's one that's not bent. Thank you very much. So patchwork fine pins. Let's take the bent one out. And that's again patchwork pins that are fine. That is what this pin is right here. And I love those, and I'm going to show you why in a minute. There are other pins. This is a new kind of pin called magic pins. They come in a variety of sizes and types. And in my hand right here, this is a silk pin. And so it's got this kind of orange color with it rather than the blue. And I can't remember what the name of the blue one is at the moment. I didn't grab that package. But the head of the pin, instead of being a little ball, is supposed to be easier to grip, and this one is a little bit thicker, so I'm guessing the silk pin is a little bit finer, but it's supposed to be easier to grip. There are numbered pins like this one, and we've got the Marilee's numbered pins, and these are great. When you lay out your quilt blocks and you've got rows and you're trying to keep track of which row is which, here's an opportunity that you can get the pins with the numbers on them. They are a thicker pin. And then of course our standard yellow head pin, which that's this box of good old Dritz quilting pins. This is the pin we recommend when we're long arming because they're nice and sturdy, they're long, and they go great through like a canvas or a zipper without bending as easily. So we've got those as well. There are other kinds of pins like our traditional flower head pins. And for some more funky pins, we've got fork pins. And I know a lot of wool people that like to do wool applique love to use the fork pins because they are they're actually 2 pins in one, so you can control your pieces. So we've got the fork pins. Those are all available on our website. And as we talk about pins, you can, there's a lot of reasons why we use pins. As I said, the thicker pin is great when you're trying to go through some big thick stuff and you don't want it to bend. But if I use this pin, the thick one, when I'm trying to piece together, 2 blocks, it's like putting a nail through that fabric. And then when I go up to the sewing machine, it even adds bulk. And Jamie, jump in anytime if you've got any tips to add to this.
I have a question for you, Heidi. So let's back up just a step on pinning your block together, which I know you're going to talk about this a little bit too. But before we even put a pin in, what do you suggest, or how are we making sure we are pinning our points?
Sure. And there are times when, there are some people who like to use pins all of the time. That's great. If that's your comfort level, there's no rules. There's no rules. I don't tend to use pins like if I'm sewing long strips together.
Right.
But once I start assembling units and blocks, I do use pins because it just assures me that I am going to get matching points. Because when you've got two pieces together, isn't this is the cute farm girl fabrics left over from our quilt. But when you've got two pieces like this and you want to get them together, and I want to make a 4-patch, so basically my block would end up like that, okay, and create like a 4-patch. That means that if my seams are pressed towards the dark fabric, so this one is going this way, that one is going that way. If I butt up, and this is the one time it's okay to say that word.
Nestle them in.
Nestle them in. And
maybe somebody else has a funny word that they use.
Oh, yeah, maybe they do.
But be careful.
I know, yeah. Keep it clean. Even though it's Friday night, keep it clean. I like to, can you see how well there, that if there's like a lip on this side and there's like a lip on that side. So if I put those lips together, I can smack those lips together.
Gosh.
Okay, sorry. I got to keep it clean myself, don't I? But do you see how then those have come together? And that is.
It is Friday.
It is Friday. It's
5 o'clock.
It's 5 o'clock.
It's 5 o'clock here.
That's right. Okay, but now that I've put those together like that and worked so hard to get there, I need to keep them there.
Which is what you were saying, I think, with
Correct.
this. That's a thicker shaft. And I don't know, Allison, if you can see, like this one does not bend well.
Yeah, and look at this one next to it. You hold it right next to it there. And look at the difference. I mean, you can visibly see how the patchwork fine pin is. And if I tried to put these through the zipper on the long arm, it'd be
that's
a waste
probably
of
why
my money.
That one has a slight bend in it.
As I say. So when I take my pin, I like to take a stitch, if you want to say, and go from the one side, doesn't really matter right or left, to the other side, so that you can see the seam is right here from these two pieces, and I've put that pin across and taken a little bite or a stitch with that pin. And I wish we could show you how that feels so flat.
Well, let me try this with a different one, because maybe we can actually. Let's see. Sorry, I'm reaching across.
No, you do it. You get it right. Grab it.
Go ahead and you keep talking.
But I think that then when I go up to the sewing machine, you need to, when I go up to the sewing machine, I never want to stitch across my pin and ruin my sewing machine. But I can come pretty darn close before I pull that out and know that it's going to make a really good sharp connection.
I don't know if they can really see the difference between them, but maybe
it doesn't say, like, I can feel that that this lays so much flatter.
Part of it, Heidi, I think, is like when we're coming and showing these tips, like for instance, when we discuss the stripology ruler, it's about making you more successful and accurate in your sewing project. Same thing with these pins. It's a small investment to pay to make sure you are doing your best work.
Absolutely. And again, maybe not, we can't have all kinds of pins. That's fine. You have to use what you have, but great Christmas stocking stuffer. Put something to put on your list of something that I would like to have in my sewing kit to make things better.
And I will tell you, just like it seems like so many things are, if you make that switch over to, especially these fine pins when you're piecing, or wherever they are, there they are, not the fork pins.
Yeah, not the fork pins.
The patchwork pins, which are on Heidi's favorite list, when you make that switch over, I think you will almost, I won't say instantly, but you will certainly
tell
a difference.
Yes, I become possessive of them. Like, oh, wait a minute, they've been taken out of my pin cushion. Yeah. Like I have one pin cushion where I like to keep them. And so, and again, every pin can have its purpose and all of that. So now there are times when we don't necessarily want to use pins, and I'll take it out of my hair. Catch my hair. Now I get the hair out of the clip, right? There are now products like jumbo clips. Can you check that? Big, isn't that good? Okay, this is the jumbo clip. Well, they come in, can you span down here? They come in mini. Look how cute they are. regular and jumbo, and we can get them in. We have sets of 10. I didn't grab the rainbow ones, but this is the red one. And these can sometimes take the place of pins. So
depending on what you're doing, for certain.
Correct. Like say, for example, binding. When we're wanting to pull our binding over, whether you're doing it by machine or by hand, it's always helpful to have like the next couple of inches ahead of you pulled over. And I've used pins and poked myself. I've used hair clips that are flat,
like the
clippies. But now they have come out with the Wonder Clips that are awesome, because it can, like, these are big enough that if I was working with a bulky binding, I can literally clip that over.
It has a little curve to it to make
yes.
And another thing I like to use those for is when you're cutting your blocks, and especially a lot of quilts are calling for A and B.
Yes.
That you keep your A's together, and it helps just throw one
organization. I find myself clipping papers with them. And again, it's like all these blocks and hair. Yes, it's not uncommon. You all know if you've watched her long enough that I have a variety of hair clips available. But like, say these all went together. Yeah. Now they're
staying there together. When you pull it out, it's ready to go.
Correct. And so that's a great way of being able to keep things together. But again, not all pins are created equal, but there are different pins for different reasons. And so I don't know if anybody has questions about pins, but certainly if we didn't answer them in this little segment, you can always contact us at info@henandchicksstudio.com, and we would be glad to answer those questions.
Or any question.
Yeah. And, if there's something that you want to know more about, just let us know.
Well, and Heidi, I do have to give our little... You might have figured out by now that sometimes we like to have a little fun and play on words. But
yes,
the quilt behind us, I just have to tell you, we think we are so clever. Ingenious, aren't we?
Because it's called Pin Ovations. Yes.
Yeah. So Pin Ovations is the quilt hanging behind us, which is we showed yesterday for our first time. But
that's right.
We crack ourselves up sometimes.
We do. We do.
Hopefully we do you too, and you can find a smile.
Absolutely. So that is just a little bit of information about pins. And if you want to learn more about quilting, we hope you'll stay around at Hen and Chicks Studio and check us out. And of course, tell all of your quilting friends as well. So everybody, have a great weekend and be creative.